Welcome back to the Peacefully Ever After podcast. I am your host, Lotus the Coach. I am a resilience coach and I have a passion for helping others identify their purpose through mindset shifts, healing through resilience, and also laughter. On today's podcast, it is an intuitive talk. So I'll just be speaking to you from the heart, addressing the matters on my heart, and just a girl to girl talk. That's the vibe for today. So stay tuned. So I've been going through a lot for the past month trying to get this podcast going, building up the courage to come out of hiding. And it has been overwhelming for my nervous system, not just in a bad way, but in a good way. Like, I would say I've been excited to launch this podcast. However, I've been overwhelmed by being perfect or just wanting to deliver the message. I have such a deep passion with helping others that it sometimes burden me with a lot of doubt because I want to get the message across. I want to see transformation in others like I've experienced it. And I know once you experience that transformation, how much peace you will have in your life, how much more you'll be able to achieve when you're able to experience that transformation. And that's why I developed this podcast and named it Peacefully Ever After, because we go through so much and we don't understand or know if we're ever going to make it to that peacefully ever after whatever we're going through. And that's what this podcast is, just a reminder that there is peace after anything you've experienced. And my goal is in these intuitive talks is to allow me to be more vulnerable, because that's something I've been working on for myself, is to be more vulnerable. Like my cousin say, I like to gatekeep. And it's not that I'm gatekeeping, it's just I'm just I don't want to come off as a know-it-all, or I don't want to come off as someone who's out of touch, because I'm very in touch. But I do know that your healing is your responsibility. Your healing starts with you, and it does not start with anyone else. And if you're waiting for someone to kickstart that for you, you're going to be waiting for a long time. Just like you're waiting now, and it's going to be a longer wait. There is no hack. There is no cheat sheet. There is no, oh, I can just go around the healing part, or go around the self-awareness part, or go around all you. I'm not sorry to tell you. I'm just telling you the truth. It's not going to happen that way. You have to reveal to heal. Whatever it is that you're holding on to, you have to reveal it. And that's why I'm here, to reveal whatever I have that I've gone through, and let you know how I've healed myself through that. And it's not just I did it all by myself. I had coaches. I've had I'm still in therapy, but I had three therapists, and I had to face myself. And it came from all of revealing whatever it was. So I'm going to go back to when I first started my healing journey. I've been on a healing journey for a long time. I've always been like a person that loved the brain and very curious about the brain. I just didn't know how to initiate like me, like understanding how the brain hack and the different wires of our brain. So when I was younger, like after I had my daughter, so like 23, I started working with crystals, and I started like listening to high vibrational music and being around people like that, which I love crystals. I don't have many anymore, but that's how I started my journey, is with crystals, and learning and researching what crystals were. And then I shifted from crystals to more of like a spiritual journey. So I started listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks. And Abraham Hicks, if you don't know, her real name is Esther, but she also goes by Abraham Hicks. And she speaks a lot about law of attraction. So I got real deep into law of attraction. And she always, in earlier days, she always talk about getting into the vortex. And I always like, what is the vortex? Like, what is that? Lady, what are you talking about? But the more I study law of attraction, I started understanding and knowing. And to you, it may be a different term, but the way Abraham Hicks uses it is getting into the vortex. Now, I don't say get into the vortex. I say get into the flow. So I know when I'm in flow and when I'm out of flow. When I'm in flow, I'm creative. I'm more sensual. I'm more relaxed. When I'm out of flow, I'm more get it done. I have to overthink. I am in control, and ultimately I'm never in control. It's just I know when I'm out of flow and when I'm in flow. So yeah, so I started with law of attraction, which I really still believe a lot in law of attraction. I also listened to a lot of Neville Goddard. He talks about, you know, believing to achieving and how to manifest. So those are ways that I started my healing journey, is through law of attraction and understanding how my brain works and being able to understand my trauma triggers so that I can learn to rewire my brain to relearn so I can have a better experience. And one of the experiences that I want to speak about today that I had to learn, and relearn, and one thing I don't want this podcast to be about is always about men in relationships, because I feel like as women, we always put men in the center of our conversations. And I don't want my podcast to turn into that. Well, this not my podcast. This podcast to turn into talking about men. But a lot of my trauma was centered around relationships with men. So when I talk about um, my trauma, it and most likely sometimes we'll revert back to relationships, but that's not really what this podcast is about. It's about identifying whatever it is, whatever that thing is, like Ayana Benzane always say. I love me some Ayana Fix My Life. But whatever that thing is, identify it, name the thing, and then we heal the thing, okay? So yes, so um when if you don't know, I've been married 3 times and I was divorced twice before the age of 30. So a lot of my 20s I spent in and out of marriages, okay? So, and I used to be so embarrassed about that time of my life, but I've healed it. There's no shame and guilt about it. I understand why I did it, and hopefully my story can help someone else. So at age of 20, I got married, and in that marriage, I married someone. I wouldn't say I knew him that well. We really didn't know each other that well. We was very young, and we just was both in a place in our life where we just wanted to have somebody. So we got married, and in that marriage, he before coming to the marriage, his background was he was in foster care for a lot of his childhood, and I had never been around anyone that had been in and out the foster care system or who has experienced as much trauma as he has experienced. So being with him was my first time encountering anybody like that. However, how I used to feel like me being such the helper, the one to be there for people person I was, I can help him be whoever he wanted to be, right? Wrong. We was both young, we know what we was doing. But in that time in my life, we got married, we moved in together, and before we even got married, he had hit me. He had got upset when I was visiting from my trip from the military, because at the time I was in the military, he wasn't. And something happened to where we went out. Another girl that he was, because we was in a long distance relationship, another girl that he was dating, she caught us at the club. We got into it. Me and him got into it. And then he ended up hitting me. And that was the first time I had ever in my life been hit by a partner, someone that I was in a relationship with. And I did not know how to navigate that. I was like, should I leave him, or is this something that just happened that one time? And I just did not know as a young girl, and I didn't talk to anybody about it because at that time I didn't know who I could talk to, or because I I I was lost. I didn't know what at that moment. I didn't know what to do. So after he hit me that first time, he apologized. Said, I will never do it again. Da, da, da. I just want to pause right here. If a person put their hands on you one time, just know they're comfortable enough to put their hands on you another time. So if they can put their hands on you one time, I suggest before it can go any further that you remove yourself from that situation, because nothing will stop them another time. Okay? So he said he wouldn't do it again. I was a young 20-year-old girl wanting to be loved so bad. And I end up forgiving him, and we got married. So we moved in together. He moved up to where I was living at the time. We got our first apartment together. And when I tell you the domestic violence, it never stopped. Nope. It just got worse, worse, and worse, and worse, to the point where the neighbors started calling the police on him because I was screaming so loud. Like at least once or twice a week, I would just be fighting for my life. And it got to a point where it started affecting my career. And I got pulled into the office by my leadership, and they told me, if you don't leave him, we're going to kick you out of the military because that's a liability. Like, if I die, that's a liability because now soldier got killed by her husband, which in hindsight, I don't think they would have kicked me out. I just feel like they was telling me that to allow me to see that I can lose everything. So after that, I wasn't going to leave him. Nope, I was not going to leave him. I kept forgiving him. I kept saying, he just needs to do this and he needs to heal. And it just takes me. And all my friends was worried about me and everything, but I would not leave him until this one situation happened. One night I was sleep. He would sleep on the couch and I would sleep in our room because we had a 1-bedroom apartment. I guess we was arguing that night or whatever. And something just said, get up. So I got up in the middle of the night and I went into the living room. I saw he was not there. And I'm like, if this man could just get up in the middle of the night. And now I had some sense that he could have been cheating on me, but I don't know. I didn't have any evidence, but I just felt like he snuck out. He's with another woman. That's all I needed. I guess the beatings didn't care. It didn't match as much as me knowing him having someone else. So I packed up all my stuff that night and I just left. And I never turned back. So once I went through the whole divorce process, which took a while, it took me a while to get through the whole divorce process. I started dating again. And I would see myself attracting the same person over and over again, which was him. But it wasn't on the more domestic side, but it was toxic relationship. Toxic relationship after toxic relationship, men being emotionally unavailable, men being abusive financially, emotionally, narcissistic. I just would attract the same person over and over. And I'm condensing this story for the sake of the podcast. I can always get back into the story later, but I'm condensing this story so I can get to the point of revealing to heal. And after I just was tired. At this time it was about, when did I leave for 2022? So after this time, me and him had been divorced for over 6 to 7 years. And I still was dating him. I still was dating him basically. And I just told myself, and by this time I had done got married again to my second husband, which we're not going to get into him yet. We're just talking about this. I had got married to my second husband, which led to a divorce in 2022. And that's when I knew I can't do this. I'm about to be 30 years old. I cannot continue living like this. My daughter has started saying like, "Mommy, why you break up with everybody you get with?" Because it was just a cycle. And it was hurting me. And I knew that I was made for more than being in these toxic relationships. So I had to reveal it to him. So I went into this isolation period for like 3 months. I journaled, I cried, I did everything I had to do. I cursed, I did all of this. And by the 90th day, I remember it was like a revelation. I remember I was laying in my bed, laying there, and I was just thinking all the way back to my first marriage where it all began. And I could see this was like probably one of the worst fights that me and him had had. And I remember I'm looking at myself from like, it looks like a mirror. Like I'm just like watching the whole ordeal, like from a movie. Like, but I'm looking at myself in my face, my younger self, my 20-year-old self. And I was at this time 29. And I said to myself, Sky, you are okay. You are safe. You are no longer in this relationship. You actually are living better now. You actually can be happier now. Let it go. Let it go. I forgive you. I love you. That's what I said to myself. And then I shift to my ex-husband. And I looked at him in his face. And I told him, I'm letting you go now. I'm moving on. I forgive you. I hope that you can heal too. And after I did that, I'm getting chills now. But after I did that, it's like my body started opening up from all of the restriction or tension that was holding on from that experience. I felt my body just open up. I felt my body just relax. I felt my body, it was like a renewing experience. And before, when I used to talk about this situation, like 4 or 5 years ago, I would instantly start crying because I was still holding on to all that stuff. Now I can talk about it like it just was a page in my book. I can talk about it with anybody. I don't care who judges me for it. I don't care. Because I know when I went through that, it helped me become who I am today. And that's what I'm telling you. It's okay to let it go. It's okay to forgive yourself. It's okay to understand that was just a page in your book. It is not your story. It's just a page. You can reveal whatever it is to heal yourself. Whatever you have to do it to heal yourself. If you have to cry, if you have to shout, if you have to get a therapist, if you have to get a coach, whatever you have to do it. Because there is peace after. When I tell you, once I healed myself from that experience, I attract the best relationships. I understand what's good for me and I understand what is not good for me. I'm no longer normalizing toxicity. I'm no longer normalizing it. I normalize peace. I normalize healthy communication. I normalize healthy relationships. I normalize healthy attachments. That's my new normal. I no longer attract that person because I released him. I let go of that experience. And you can too. You can do this. I challenge you today with this resilience tool of revealing whatever you have been holding on for a while. If you have to do it through journaling, a voice note on your phone, just reveal it to yourself. Stop suppressing it and reveal it to yourself. Reveal it. And once you're able to reveal it to you, you can heal it for you. I love you, and I know you can do this. So that's all for today's podcast. I appreciate you for staying this long. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, can you please share this podcast with someone who you feel can use this information to reveal, to heal? Don't forget to like this episode, to share it again. And I'll see you on the next episode of Peacefully Ever After.